My colleague sexually harassed me. Now I'm his boss. I interned at my first company about 7 years ago. I worked with a guy named Bill, who is at least 15 years older than me and married with a kid. He's the kind of guy that lifts the office's mood with his jokes and friendliness. Everyone loves him. But he started getting creepy with me pretty quickly. It started with him getting close to my face and staring deep into my eyes. Then he would show me things on the computer and accidentally rub his leg against mine. I found him repulsive and saw behind his nice, funny guy demeanor. But at the time, it was my first job, so I never reported him. Only my close colleagues knew. We all got laid off, so I no longer need to deal with that. In the following years, he would reach out on LinkedIn asking how I was doing, but I mostly ignored him. Fast forward 6+ years, a mutual colleague reached out to me. Bill has been working with him for a few years and is interested in taking me on. At this point, I had been looking for work for 6 months, so I said yes, especially as it was remote and I wouldn't need to be around Bill in person. After 6 months in my role, I don't want to brag, but frankly, I've been killing it. Yesterday, my boss told me he's promoting me to team leader, meaning Bill will now report to me. The universe truly works in mysterious ways. TLDR, I got a promotion yesterday, and the creep I worked with 6+ years ago now has to report to me. Bittersweet. Edit 1, I'm not out for revenge, you all. I plan to be an excellent manager to him. It's the irony of the whole situation that tickles me. Edit 2, some people are questioning my sexual harassment claim. Sexual harassment includes unwanted touching. This happened more than once. It wasn't just my leg, it was my whole thigh too, that he was rubbing/touching against his. I know when someone is into me, and he was. AITA for purposely gaining weight? My name is Steve, 32M, and I'm a guy who enjoys food. I used to be pretty slim, but then I started eating out more frequently and drinking more alcohol. Before I knew it, I'd put on a ton of weight. As time passed, I kept eating more and more. My clothes became tighter until they almost burst at the seams. It felt amazing to see my waistline expand. Eventually, my friends started calling me fat, but I didn't care. I knew that I was beautiful no matter what anyone else thought. And besides, it felt perfect to be the biggest guy in the room. I guess you could say I became addicted to food. Every morning, I woke up thinking about my next meal, and every night, I went to sleep fuller than before. As the pounds slowly crept onto my frame, I knew I was becoming something special. Not everyone could look as amazing as I did, with my giant gut protruding from my tank top. I knew I would eventually be known worldwide for my massive girth, but until then, I was just content to keep eating. After years of constant eating, I weighed in at over 280 pounds. I couldn't believe it when I saw the number on the scale, but I wasn't surprised. I'd worked hard for this and wouldn't change anything. My face wasn't exactly attractive, but I figured it balanced out my giant gut. At least I looked unique. Here's where the asshole part might come in, and it's because it's become the center of attention wherever I go now, for example, eating dinner with my friends. I remember sitting around talking and laughing when my stomach suddenly made an enormous noise. Everyone turned to look at me, and I realized that my belly had shifted and expanded because of all of the pasta I'd indulged in, causing my jeans to split apart in my inner thighs and the button to pop off. The group was shocked and a little bit horrified. They tried to help me fix my pants, but the damage was already done. My shirt had ridden up, exposing my giant gut and leaving me feeling incredibly vulnerable. I could feel the heat radiate from my cheeks. I quickly excused myself and ran to the bathroom, locking myself inside for several minutes. The next example at a family hangout at one of our elders' houses. My extended family was there, too. Some hadn't seen me in 8 years. That was one of the most embarrassing moments of my life. I walked into the room and immediately caught everyone's attention. They all stopped talking and stared, mouths agape. I tried to ignore them and find a seat, but it was difficult. My stomach was huge and wobbled with each step. Eventually, I found an empty chair and sat down. I felt people's eyes on me the whole time, and I could hear them whispering behind their hands. Later on, during dinner, things got even worse. My uncle decided to tease me about my weight, which led to everyone else joining in. They kept poking and prodding my gut, making jokes about how much I must have eaten. Years later, I still cringe when I think of that night. But somehow, despite everything, my love of food remains unchanged. And now, here I am, bigger than I was then. If you're wondering if it's affected my dating life, do I have a story for you? Let's just say that was an experience I'd rather forget. When the waiter brought out the dessert menu, I started fantasizing about all the available items. Of course, I couldn't choose just one thing, so I ordered 3 different desserts. One by one, they arrived, and I devoured every last bite. Before long, my shirt had split open, revealing my massive stomach underneath. Embarrassed, my date's face turned red, and she quickly paid the check. We left the restaurant without saying another word to each other. Looking back on it now, I realize I shouldn't have been surprised by how things turned out. I mean, who goes on a date and orders 3 different desserts? I guess you could call me the ultimate glutton. I went to see my doctor a few months ago, and she told me that my weight gain had become a serious concern. She warned me that if I didn't start taking steps to improve my health, I could end up developing diabetes or having a stroke. I was shocked to hear her say that, but ultimately, I knew she was right. From that moment on, I consciously tried to eat less and move more. It hasn't been easy. Sometimes, I miss the taste of fatty foods or sweets. At those times, I try to remind myself why I'm doing it for my health and well-being. After my doctor's appointment, I decided to give intermittent fasting a shot. It worked wonders. At first I could drop 60 pounds in no time flat. Then something strange happened. No matter what I did, I couldn't keep the weight off. I tried running, swimming, and hiking up mountains, but nothing helped. Eventually, I gave up. I figured there was no point in trying anymore since I'd already gained back double what I'd lost. Feederism is an unusual fetish, but it's one that I've grown to appreciate over time. For those unfamiliar, it involves getting pleasure from seeing someone else eat. I suppose you could say I've become a bit of a feeder myself. There's nothing quite like watching someone enjoy a delicious meal, especially when that person is me. Share your thoughts in the comments and follow for more interesting stories.